the past 3 years, I have been working with some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the space to help them increase their output, increase their performance, increase their energy, increase their focus, so that they can scale their business and become leaders in the industry. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact step-by-step process we use to be able to achieve that, and also what are the common things that those 100K to 500K a month entrepreneurs have in common. So the things that all of those entrepreneurs strive to achieve, the traits that those entrepreneurs are trying to achieve in terms of their performance and their output, are those 5 things that we see here. Now, keep in mind, those entrepreneurs have great skills, great knowledge, they have a lot of leverage, so they're able to get there by repetitions. But the biggest multiplier that amplifies their success from that point moving forward, the biggest multiplier that will amplify your success and the speed with which you're moving towards your goal every single day and how fast you will succeed, is your level of execution. And let's see what are the things that will that entail the main things that an entrepreneur at that level, like Jordan Platten, Thomas Gannett, Matt Shields, and all those big guys that you probably see in my page, are striving to achieve. So one of those entrepreneurs will strive to achieve maximum energy, will strive to achieve razor sharp focus, unstoppable drive and motivation, consistent execution, not those high and low days, not those days that you feel very motivated and very excited to get after it, and then those days that you feel low and unproductive. Instead of that, consistent execution. And also a lean and aesthetic body, a lean and aesthetic physique. So what are the things that we do to be able to achieve a goal like this thing right here? Okay, now I'm going to share with you a pyramid of the things that need to be in place in order for you to be able to feel and perform like that on a daily basis. So let me draw a pyramid here, and we're going to see the most fundamental things you need to have in order so that you can perform at your best, so that you can match the level of performance of an entrepreneur that is making 100K to 500K a month with his business. So the first most important thing is circadian clock. What is the circadian clock? The circadian clock is your body's ability to be able to know what time of the day it is and mainly control your sleep and wake cycle. So one of the key elements in here is things like sleep quality. The next most important thing, the next most important variable that determines your level of performance is your hormone function. So the main things here is having high testosterone levels and avoiding or not having hormonal imbalances. You see, a lot of the people that come to me in the beginning, and I see a pattern amongst a lot of entrepreneurs, one of the key things they do is that they are implementing a lot of different things. They're following different types of diets, whether that is keto, carnivore, paleo, or whatever, without really understanding what's really going inside their body. They're not tracking any sorts of metrics, any sorts of data. Most of them haven't even conducted any health tests to actually see what if they have any hormonal imbalances, if they have any nutrient deficiencies. So this results in them actually following cookie cutter stuff, cookie cutter protocols, taking all the supplements or taking the basic supplements just as an insurance. So instead of that, you have to make sure your hormone function is on point. You have high testosterone levels, your estrogen levels and testosterone levels are in balance so that you're able to have high drive, high energy, high focus. So the next thing we need to have in order is, of course, the things that you're eating and also your gut health. Gut health is simply one of the most overlooked things when it comes to the foods that we're eating and our approach to diet. And the reason that we're so heavily focused on not only nutrition, not only the things that we're eating in terms of calories and macros, but also how the foods that we're eating are affecting our gut health. Because the reason that we're so heavily focused on optimizing things like gut health is because the majority of your serotonin is produced, 90% of serotonin is facilitated in the gut. 50% of dopamine production is inside the gut. There are, alongside with the trillions and gazillions of bacteria you have inside your gut, you also have neurons that produce neurochemicals that affect how you feel, think, and act at any given part of the day. So when you're feeling foggy and tired, many of the times it has everything to do with your gut. So this is why we are heavily focused on the gut health, and generally when we're talking nutrition, we're mostly talking about gut. Next variable we'll optimize is exercise. So when I'm talking about exercise, I mean strength training and optimal cardio protocols to maximize hypertrophy, longevity, and performance, okay? So I'm not talking about your good old bodybuilding split. I'm talking about mainly incorporating appropriate amounts of strength training, appropriate amounts of cardio, in a way that you are optimizing for not only performance mentally, but also muscle hypertrophy. And you're also not feeling at your best every day, but you're also maximizing your longevity and health span. The next thing after that is, of course, your dopamine and your willpower. So the dopamine system. This is essentially the number one molecule that is responsible for success and drive and pursuit. So you may have all those things in order, your exercise, your gut health, your hormone function, your skin clock, but if your dopamine is not in order, then you're pretty much shooting your own foot. And it's simply because your dopamine is the thing that will make you hunt and chase the things that are like your work. The dopamine is the molecule that will make you do the things that you need to do every day, and how motivated, energized, focused, or unproductive you feel at any given point of the day, how excited you feel when you're working on your passion, or how bored you feel at any given moment of the day, has all to do with the circulating levels of dopamine in your bloodstream. And so what we do here to optimize that and to make sure you have those consistent days of performance and execution, your passion excites you, the boring things and the hard things look like fun, seem like fun. What we do to achieve that is optimize your dopamine system. And then lastly, once we got those 5 main pillars covered, we move on to supplements. So you see the last part here is what are the tools, what are the things we can use to enhance our testosterone function, our dopamine system, our gut health, our sleep quality, only after we've dialed in the fundamentals. Only after we've dialed in this, and this, we move on to supplements and extra tools we can use to enhance all the below, okay? So again, not particular supplements for one specific thing, but supplements to enhance all of the mechanisms mentioned below the supplements, okay? So this is the big picture. This is the goal that we have: max energy, razor sharp focus, unstoppable drive, consistent execution, lean and aesthetic body. This here is the means. This here is the overall picture of how everything that's happening on the inside should look like. Or maybe what are the things that we have inside our biology that we should focus on in order to get there. So this here is the vehicle that we're going to use to get here. But we're potentially overlooking one very important thing. What is the steps I need to follow to essentially facilitate that? How do I optimize my circadian clock? How do I optimize my hormone function, testosterone levels? How do I optimize my nutrition, my gut health? How do I optimize my exercise, my dopamine, and my supplements? So let's break this down into more tangible and actionable steps, and pretty much walk you through exactly what I'm doing with my clients to make sure that they are in a level that allows them to generate those results here, to not only maintain this level of wealth, but multiply it, okay? So let's start with the process. The first step, number one step we go through with every new person that comes in is actually we get to get an understanding about this, and this. So essentially we go to step one, in which essentially we kind of like perform like a screening of circadian clock, hormone function. So essentially, let me draw this thing here: hormone function, exercise, nutrition and gut health, exercise, and dopamine. So I assume you're probably like, how do you even test all those things? How do you even make sure all those things here work properly? Well, one of the things we do here in step one is we facilitate health tests. So in order to actually analyze hormone function, gut health, and sometimes dopamine as well, because this is very interconnected with gut health, we facilitate health tests. So we test things like gut health and microbiome. We test things like hormone panels, cholesterol panels. we do DEXA scans, we do body fat scans, and all that we do to analyze our baseline in terms of those 5 main variables. Not supplements, but those 5 main variables below the supplements. So the step 1 is of course health tests. The other part, because you also have the circadian clock, exercise, and also dopamine, is we actually perform a routine breakdown in which we actually have the client give us and show us exactly what he is doing in his everyday life in terms of diet, in terms of exercise, in terms of sleep. Every single thing that will allow us to understand how is their schedule, their daily life looking like, so that we can find the blind spots, the lowest hanging fruits we need to optimize. So essentially here, we start analyzing all those variables by health testing, routine breakdown, and we also use tools to track circadian clock function. So not only we will test health, not only we will break down the routine so that we can analyze the lowest hanging fruits we need to fix, but also start tracking variables like your circadian clock to see what is the missing part in the beginning, where can we actually lay the foundations. So now you know how we actually break those 5 steps down: the dopamine, exercise, nutrition and gut health, hormone function, circadian clock, so that we know how to, so we reverse engineer how do we improve each one of those things. Okay? So in the beginning, we don't actually prescribe, we're not going to prescribe anything. We're not going to prescribe any specific supplements, any specific routines, any specific behavior practices to do. We're actually going to understand what is the main reason why you're feeling actually those symptoms. Because when a client in the beginning comes to us, they're probably dealing with things like brain fog, low energy, fatigue. They're not able to manage stress efficiently. We're actually a bit trying to understand what's causing this so that we can take the next steps of action. So this is step 1. So what we do here is essentially, as we're waiting to get a hold of the information we are going to take from the tests that we facilitated. So for example, the gut health test results, the blood results, the hormone test results. Once, in the meanwhile of us waiting to get the information from the tests, what we do here is we essentially, from the breakdown that we receive of the routine, so based on the things that the client is doing wrong with their routine breakdown, so about the lowest hanging fruits we can instantly change so that we can actually see an ROI in terms of energy, focus, and performance before the tests. So step 2 is like the baseline optimization part, in which we are attacking the lowest hanging fruits in terms of sleep, diet, exercise, training, cardio, any form of behavioral change we can instantly implement without the test results. So in the meanwhile, we get a substantial optimization of the baseline. So here, we have a look at the breakdown that the client provided us with his exercise protocols, his nutrition protocols, his circadian clock, and also other habits that can contribute to how his dopamine system is functioning. And based on that, we have a look at essentially the stuff that he's doing now that is potentially causing him to not perform as good, to wake up feeling tired, to have afternoon crashes in energy, to not have consistent motivation. And we instantly fix that by implementing a new routine, a new schedule, and we essentially test his chronotype to also see what is the best sleep protocol, what is the best sleep schedule for him individually. And so we essentially perform, I don't know why I keep saying essentially all the time, but we essentially perform a routine revamp here, focusing on the lowest hanging fruits that will allow him to gain 80% of the results from 20% of the changes. Okay? So that's step 2 for you. Now, step 3 is going to be the moment in which we actually receive the test results from the health tests and the tracking tools we ordered and planned. So here we're going to analyze if he has any nutrient deficiencies, hormonal imbalances, if there is a particular intolerance to a specific food in terms of gut health and digestion. And basically, we are going to see the results from the tests, and those tests, by the way, are going to show us gut health, hormone function, and particularly also potentially dopamine, because this is also interconnected with gut health. And so we get those results here, and we structure and personalize a diet, we structure and personalize his nutrition and his supplementation also based on the deficiencies, imbalances, and gut health problems. Okay, so that's essentially the step 3 is essentially, or one part of step 3, because another thing, the final thing that we do in step 3 is, because we also get data for circadian clock, because we order a tool like the Oura Ring or the Whoop Band. And by doing so, we are going to analyze his sleep quality. What are the things that allow him to get better REM sleep, better deep sleep, more and better sleep quality, so that we are able to focus on those specific things and optimize his sleep schedule and routine based on the data that we receive from the sleep tracker. So step 3, again, to do a quick summary, we receive the results from the gut health test, from the hormone test, blood test, and also the sleep tracking device. And we receive enough data for us to be able to tailor and personalize his diet, his supplementation, implement any behavioral changes, and also optimize his sleep schedule and sleep routine based on the feedback we receive from the ring. Okay, so here that's step 3 done. And then the last thing that remains here is the supplements. Before we continue any further, let's analyze our progress so far. So if we go through those first 3 steps, what exactly is going to happen to this pyramid? What's going to happen is that the circadian clock aspect is going to be dialed in and optimized. So your circadian clock, by now we have enough data to see what are the changes we need to apply to your routine so that you're getting the best sleep quality possible, waking up with maximum energy and feeling sharp every single day. So that is circadian clock covered. The next thing is hormone function. We're going to be able to know by now if we have any hormonal imbalances, nutrient deficiencies, and what changes can we make in terms of behavioral changes, but also diet and supplementary changes to optimize things like testosterone levels. So by this time, we also have this dialed in. Nutrition and gut health also is going to be another factor that's going to be dialed in, because we also have facilitated the tests. We know if we have any nutritional imbalances. We know what foods trigger our gut, what foods actually harm our gut health, what foods are the foods we cannot properly digest, and we personalize the diet to optimize gut health and better digestion. So we're able to optimize this as well. This is also going to be optimized by step 3. So your exercise protocols, we are going to be basing that based on your health tests. So if we have, for example, one client came to me the other day and we tested his lipoprotein(a), and we figured out that it was out of whack. To give you some context, lipoprotein(a) is one of the biggest heart risk factors, and it needs to be in a specific range, particularly less than 29 milligrams per deciliter. If it's more than that, then, and by the way, lipoprotein(a) is mainly altered or affected by genetics. Not a lot of stuff we can do here. If your lipoprotein(a) is out of balance, then what you need to do is you need to do everything in your power to minimize all of the other risk factors for cardiovascular disease. And so when we get reports or results like this, what we do is we implement a lot of different behavioral changes in terms of diet, cardio, and exercise to be able to minimize the risk factors and improve performance and overall body composition. So by getting the results from the tests and by also seeing what the client was doing previously, measuring and tracking his progress, his biomarkers and his biometrics, meaning his body fat, his body weight, and the activity he does and his progress, we are also able to optimize and tailor a specific training protocol, again, specifically tailored for the client situation. So that is also going to be covered. Dopamine, however, here's where things start becoming interesting and tricky. Dopamine in supplements is obviously not going to be fully optimized by this point. So this is why we got step 4. Let me just write this down. Step 4 is essentially when we start looking into dopamine and willpower. Here, what we do is we focus solely on the dopamine system, how do we hack, quote unquote, your dopamine system to make boring things fun, how to properly consume stimulants and caffeine, and also a few mental exercises that will train the part of your brain to have better willpower and better self-discipline. So for example, things like the daily no-goes, and this, I'm not going to try to go into specific details about this, but specific exercises and behavioral changes that will train, and this is not, I know it sounds woo-woo, but it's not woo-woo. It is like you have to do specific exercises to train a specific area, the basal ganglia of your brain that is responsible for discipline and willpower. And essentially by doing so, we train that dopamine system to make boring things fun, but also improve your self-control, willpower, and minimize distractions and impulsive behaviors. So we do that here, step 4. And then lastly, so this is sort of optimized here. I'm going to talk about this as well, which optimizes everything a bit further. And finally, step 5. Step 5 is the part in which we are focusing on optimizing, using extra tools to enhance overall performance and productivity and energy, motivation, drive, and focus by supplements. So the supplements we are going to incorporate here are going to 10x your dopamine levels. So essentially, dopamine is going to be covered. We are going to unlock unstoppable drive and motivation by this point. We're going to unlock maximum recovery because we are going to implement a lot of different supplements for sleep quality. And also, we are, based on the results that we get from the test, here is where we actually implement different supplements to optimize for cardiovascular health, for things like recovery from training, inflammation. If we have any toxicity of heavy metals, we also implement supplements to heal gut and heal kidney and heal your liver as well. So things like that is what we do in the step 5, which is the supplements phase. And here we optimize this as well. So you see by 5 steps how we optimize all those different variables. And so as a result of that, so you see those 5 steps here are directed in optimizing this little pyramid, and this little pyramid are the variables we need to look out for if we want to feel like that. So 5 steps to optimize circadian clock, hormone function, nutrition and gut health, exercise, dopamine, and supplements, so that you're able to have maximum energy, razor sharp focus, unstoppable drive, consistent execution, and a lean and aesthetic body. Lean and aesthetic physique. This is what an entrepreneur at that level, 100 to 500K a month, is striving for. And this is what I've found through experience, through working with all those successful entrepreneurs like Jordan Platten, Matt Shields, Thomas Connett, Nathan Nazareth, Marcus Pizarro. All of them are in this range. Those are the things that we do and we help them with to help them get this result. And you don't have to take my word for it. We have like hundreds of testimonials, including those people actually speaking about the things that we did. So if you don't believe me from this video, then you maybe want to go and check out my page to see what they're talking about. And the main thing that we implement to make sure that you are following those 5 steps so that you optimize all those variables here to feel like that is we keep you accountable every single day. So we implement a accountability method that will not let you slip. Okay, so that you know exactly what you need to do every day. You have crystal clear clarity every single day on the steps you need to take to optimize your performance. Okay, we will not allow room for you to slip, and this will, as a result, allow you to hold yourself accountable to that standard of performance. So if you're potentially interested in checking this out and finding out if we can use this personalized data-driven system to increase your performance and output so you can scale your business, then click the link in the description and book a call with me to see if you're the right fit for this. So this was the exact steps we follow with the most successful entrepreneurs in the space to help them perform at the highest level possible every single day. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.